We are live. Basch in the brain and the captain Baschada to start the show. Husker Willie is still in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln.
He might just permanently move there. You know, we started this Basch in the brain stuff with Willie in Coeur d'Alene. Then he was back in Easton. Now he might just be permanently in Lincoln.
I look at
all
how
time zone.
all the time.
So, fellas, we were all just in the green room talking about the national duels and how so much of the conversation around this weekend should be all the great action. In the last 2 days, the conversation and the narrative has largely shifted to, instead of the great matchups, the great semis, the third place, all this, which is what I was preparing for when I'm working on the show notes. And all of a sudden it's about, seeing coaches and fans and athletes talking about Penn State's absence. And so we were kind of talking about both the fact that that's what's dominating the headlines and also giving our opinions on Penn State not being there. Both of you have had some really solid points. We've been talking the last 24 hours about it, so might as well kick the show off that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of unfortunate that a team that's not competing here is what we're all talking about when it really doesn't have – we shouldn't be talking about Penn State. They're not here. They're not involved. And we have this great event, and it's what everybody is talking about. And, it just goes back to when people say that it delegitimizes event, every event that doesn't have any team, all the teams, is delegitimized. We go bonkers every year for CKLV. Penn State's never there. Collegiate duels, Oklahoma State is never there. So what are we talking about? Every event that doesn't have every team is delegitimized. I get what you're saying in that you're trying to have a dual national championship, if that's what you're saying, but it's not a dual national championship. It's the national duels. You can be the national duels champ. Penn State chose not to participate. Let's celebrate and preview who's actually here.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I find some of the irony in it, we were talking about it offline, but I find some of the irony in it that, the best programs that are there are the ones that are actually almost delegitimizing it by saying that, well, Penn State has some obligation to be here. Well, number one, that's a separate topic. They don't. But why would you say that? I mean, why would you just not be talking about your squad? And, and I tweeted this last night, and I think it's really a simplistic thing. And that is, why can't, as a sport, we just be happy that we're starting the year with this amazing marquee event, and we're going to cap the year with the national tournament? And, in terms of moving the sport forward, things don't happen overnight. And I give a lot of credit to Coach Taylor and what Oklahoma State did by putting this thing together.
Amazing.
It's going to be an insane, great event that didn't exist before. It's year one. I'm sure there's a lot of things that, separately we'll, kind of discuss things if you move it into second semester. I think if this happened, let's say between Christmas and New Year's, setting aside the scuffle and all that stuff, then you'd have Cornell with their full lineup. And, there are things that you're going to tweak on it in terms of timing in that. And, Paycom, I guess, has come out and said that they're going to continue to support it. But why can't we just celebrate the fact that we're going to really kick off the sport with an amazing weekend, almost like NASCAR kicks off its season with the Daytona 500 and then ends with an amazing championship race, right? It's sort of the same type thing here, where you're starting off with this great event, but the coaches who have the best programs that are coming out and saying, negative things almost about the event because Penn State there, I just don't understand that.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, not that there's a coordinated PR push, but from a PR standpoint, they went down the wrong road.
100%. And Coach Sanderson at his presser, anybody who listened to it, he was very he addressed it in very simple terms, and people were like, oh, these are excuses that he's making. He's not making any excuses. I mean, when you have the kind of program, this is complex stuff. You don't just do this on a bar napkin and get your training schedule done. And three things that he said actually that were important. One was that because of the freestyle season, they're behind on their folk style training. And I
Of
think what
course.
that means is that they have a training schedule, and they push the training schedule back to accommodate the 7 guys that wrestled at U23s. And the second thing that he said, which is important, is that this is, a national duels thing is something they would consider, into the future. But I think his suggestion was, well, they would like to be more involved in the planning of this and not be called and say, hey, we put this together. Will you participate? And I don't think there's anything wrong with including the guy who, essentially has the juggernaut team in the planning of this. And then the third thing that he said, which I found interesting, kind of a subtle point, and I'm not sure if he misspoke or if there's more import to it than you think. But what he said was, look, we'd consider it, but rather than and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, rather than like get a call from Mike Moyer and the people who are hosting the event, we would prefer that we call them and ask them to participate in our event. And I think what is meant by that is the group of coaches that run the major programs in the country that are going to decide on the national duels, that should almost be a committee type thing where they decide when, where, how, what the structure is going to be. And then they go out and get sponsors for the event rather than have that's the dog and the
Yeah.
tail versus the tail wagging the dog. Again, I don't know if that's what he meant, but that's what I took from that what I took from that comment in his presser.
Yeah, I think there's good and bad in that statement. But what it really highlights is that they've tried this before. I mean, it's not a new thing. National duels is not a new thing. Now this structure and this payment structure is new, but why don't they come together and try something? And what they tried before didn't work. And I'll pivot here to what Scott Goodale responded to a tweet that I said, and he said, Willie, would you not want a national duels championship to start the year and then later on the greatest spectacle we have, the NCAA individual tournament? And there's not a simple yes no to that. What the correct response is, first, this isn't an NCAA championship event, okay? As much as they want it to be that, and Coach Goodale kind of implied that. But would I like a national duels championship sanctioned by the NCAA? Yes, I would. And then Penn State could either participate in it or they cannot win the title, which is what we have right now, which is fine, and we should all be okay with it. But I do not want it to come at the expense of the NCAA tournament and a national team championship being there. What they really should do is have some gravity behind them, have some momentum behind them, and talk to the NCAA about what I've been preaching about for 20 years that nobody wants to maybe because it's too much work. I don't know. Maybe because there's too many old school entities involved. And by that, I mean tournaments, established tournaments. But have a split season. Track has indoor-outdoor national championships. There's no earthly reason other than tradition why you don't start in the first semester to December 31st. You have a dual season. You qualify for national duels. It culminates in an NCAA title in the dual format. Jan 1, you start your open tournaments, individual season, individual, culminating in a national championship in an individual tournament. There's no earthly reason they can't do that. They just, and instead they force square pegs and round holes.
Well, I feel like, too, they're also trying to take their love of duels and making, like, wrestling is and always will be an individual sport. Kids start wrestling, they want to be NCAA world and Olympic champions. Nobody on planet Earth at 8 years old says, I can't wait to go to college and become a national duels champion. It might get to that point to where duels matter that much, but right now, it's an individual sport, and that's always going to be the focus. People say, oh, Kale's not doing this, and that. Kale's doing his job. He's had 40 national champions and 100-plus All-Americans since he got to Penn State. That's his job. His job is to help kids achieve their dreams, and he's done it better than any coach on planet Earth. So to say that Kale's not doing this or that, Kale's doing his job. That's
Kale is doing the job that the athletes came to Penn State for him to do.
I don't know. We talked about this before we hopped up on the show, but I'm not exactly. I'll trust the Goodell thing in a second, but I'm not sure what more Kale Sanderson can do for the sport. I've mentioned this a couple times, and USA Today did an article a couple of years ago that said the biggest dynasty in the history of college sports emanates from NCAA wrestling. Bigger than Alabama football, bigger than UCLA basketball. If that is not the ultimate accomplishment for the sport of wrestling, the sport of wrestling has the single greatest dynasty in college sports history as part of it. And Kale and his guys are the architects of that. So to say he's somehow doing something wrong, and again, I think we can take a step back. So a couple things that came out, right? So you have these coaches, criticizing. And look, I'll be honest. I have a bias here because I happen to like Kale Sanderson. And, back when I was involved in the sport, Kale gave me time to speak to him, not just about wrestling stuff, but he's just a really smart, wise guy. And he's a guy you could call up and bounce ideas off and bounce scenarios off. And even if he knows nothing about the subject matter, he always has something really smart and constructive to say that you'd never think about. So I like him. So that's my bias. But, for Coach Manning and Coach Ryan to come out and say what they said and say, hey, the first thing that we should think about is, this is all about the growing wrestling. This is all about the sport. I'll ask simple questions, okay, of Coach Manning. Is it growing the sport when you take Cal State Bakerfield's best wrestler and their only draw and take them away from that program? Is that what's growing the sport? That they go from, packed duels to nothing? Is that good for the sport?
I think here's the fine line. And I think that they are Tom Ryan and Mark Manning and everybody else that's saying they should be there. I think they're right for wanting them here. I think I want Penn State here. I think everybody. I think maybe Kale wants Penn State here. But
and say that. Don't wrap it. Then don't wrap it in this virtue signaling thing
for the sport.
Ridiculous.
I don't buy that. You need to do what's right for your thing. All right.
And by the way, Will, the reason why. The reason why you can't buy it is because it's not true. And the second thing is what Coach Manning does, what Coach Ryan does, what Coach Taylor does, and what Coach Sanderson does are all the same thing. They do what's in the best interest of the school and their program because that's what they're paid to do. That's what their obligation is, okay? And the only guy who's taking heat for that is Coach Sanderson, and that's what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Simply put.
Yeah. No, I get everybody wanting them there. But blame and what they're suggesting is I don't get it. Yeah, and again, I'd rather we didn't open the show with it. I wish that this was not a thing. I wish we were just talking about national duels, which we're going to do right now. Let's talk about the actual wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. It's like we had to talk about it because that's what the coaches and the athletes are talking about. But at the end of the day, it is still going to be such an awesome event. And, hey, there's a shot that, if the seeds held, and which we'll get into, but if the seeds held, there's a good chance that you could have the winner end up dueling Penn State in a couple months anyways. If Iowa and Nebraska make the finals, Penn State has both of them on their schedule. Penn State has the 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 in the country on their schedule already. So it's not like, everybody wants Penn State, Oklahoma State. I do. Both of you guys do. Everybody wants that duel. Hopefully we get it eventually. But it doesn't negate that this event this weekend is going to be an absolutely awesome event.
Hey, just one last thing on that point is it's on the finals are on ESPN too. Flows.
He said he's muted himself. He must have just. There he is. He's back. You back? He looks confused.
All right, let's talk about actual wrestling.
All right, let's talk about the wrestling is right. Is he back? Hold on. Let's let him finish the point.
Yeah,
Then we'll move on to the
I got
wrestling.
disconnected. I said quickly. It's on the finals are on ESPN too. Flow's covering it. From what I understand, the ticket sales are good. There's a ton of buzz and everything around it, which you guys are going to get to right now. And it's really irrelevant whether Penn State is there or not there. This is going to be an unbelievable marquee event. And remember, this is year one. It's only going to get better from here. And it's got a killer kickoff.
Yeah.
It's got an absolute killer kickoff. Willie, don't forget about my Cowboys sweatshirt. Very important.
I got you, buddy.
All right.
All right, let's
All right,
talk
guys.
some
So
wrestling.
thanks for having me on for this segment. I appreciate it.
Anytime. Bashada's Corner is going to be a regular throughout the season.
Love it. All right. Looking
All
forward
right.
to seeing how you guys preview this thing.
Awesome.
See you, boys.
See you, Don. All right. We got to get Bashad on here more. I love his perspective. Willie, where do you want to start with this duel? Because I put together a spreadsheet where I put together all 16 teams, their lineups, and their duels. And, some duels look like they're going to be bigger. There's going to be big favorites in some of these first-round duels, but you're still going to get a lot of great first-round matchups in almost every duel. Where would you like to start with this?
Well, let's just go in order of the first round duels from top to bottom.
Sure.
One thing that's interesting right off the bat is that they only seeded 4 teams, and so there was the possibility of maybe the 5th and 6th, what would have been projected as the 5th and 6th team meeting a 1 and 2 early, but that didn't happen. So we kind of got lucky that way.
Yeah.
And the brackets almost seeded the way it worked out. It's almost like it's totally seeded, but
it is, and it's funny too because I told we were talking before the show about I put the spreadsheet together of basically every lineup and what it's likely going to be, and it's funny because some schools already, like Arizona State's lineup, looks a lot different than it probably would have. Oklahoma State, I don't know if their lineup looks much different on paper, but already, and we'll get to it once we talk Oklahoma State, but it's when it completely changed my perspective on how I think Oklahoma State's going to do when you take into context how the freshmen are looking. That's a huge difference. So it's funny as we start to get these duels, even now, my point being, if we were to seed this thing right now, a couple weeks into the season, I'm wondering how different the seeds would have looked with the current lineups and with guys wrestling the way they are early.
Yeah. Well, another kind of behind the scenes kind of background thing. So we told you, right? I was on the seating committee. We told you on a previous show that they sent out a survey, enter your lineups, submit your lineups for guys that will be competing at national duels. Not who your starter will be in January, but who will be your starters at national duels. And the coaches did a really good job being honest about that. Who was available, who was not available. That being said, there have been some minor changes in there, and the teams can see. They had to submit their guys. They could submit 15 guys. They had to submit them into track wrestling, I don't know, 2 days ago. And the teams have access to that, right? So Nebraska can see who Iowa submitted. Iowa can see who Okie State committed. Yada yada yada. I can't see that. I don't have that access. Joe Fan doesn't have that access. So there has been some minor changes. That's all I know. I think that a lot of people are scared that matchups won't materialize. I'm usually pretty realistic about those sort of things, and I think that there will certainly be one here, one there. I don't think it's gonna be a mass duck fest. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of. I can't believe we didn't get to see that match. I think,
and it seems like
teams and Tom Ryan echoed that, which is I'm really happy that Tom Ryan did that.
100%. And I do think like there are some scenarios where, one of the biggest ones in the first round is I start right off the top of the bracket, 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday. There'll be 4 mats going. You'll have Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Little Rock, NC State, Northern Iowa, and Cornell, Oklahoma State. Those are the first 4 duels at 10, and the next 4 duels are at 12. And right out of the gate, you have Iowa, Missouri as the first duel. And, a big one there. There's a couple. You have Nasir Bailey versus Seth Mendoza, which you highlighted in your, featured matches to watch. And you have Angelo Ferrari, Aiden Sinclair. And people have already started, well, if Iowa has that duel locked up, which they very well could by 84, will they send out Gabe Arnold? I think we do see Gabe Arnold getting some matches this weekend. So I do think there's going to be a caveat there of if a team has a duel locked up, are they, that's where I think there's kind of I think that's kind of a caveat. I don't think Ferrari not wrestling Sinclair would be Iowa ducking Sinclair. I think it would be let's get Gabe Arnold a match, So I do think if a team has a duel locked up, we could maybe not see something. But I think it's more so just maybe the strategy of winning the dual tournament versus sitting guys or ducking guys.
Yeah, I mean, I for sure know that there's going to be things where they use a backup just to keep the other guy fresh. Now, fresh in air quotes, because good Lord, if you can't wrestle 4 matches over 2 days and you have to stay fresh, come on. But it does sort of, if Angelo Ferrari is set to wrestle the number 72 guy in America, maybe you don't put him out there because you don't want to risk rolling an ankle or something, right? But generally speaking, I don't think we're going to see a whole heck of a lot of missed matchups.
Yeah.
And Seth Mendoza, I don't know if he's listed. He hasn't wrestled a match yet for Missouri. He was initially submitted in the lineups that Missouri submitted for seeding purposes, but he hasn't wrestled a match yet, and I don't know if he's was listed in the official submissions. You can see if guys that are watching the show, if you go on to some of their social media channels,
I was just going to say that
on Twitter, like for instance, I will put out the 15 that are traveling. I think it's 15.
Yeah.
They're bringing a backup heavyweight. They're bringing Gage Marty a heavyweight. So that might be a sign that Keeter goes in select matches. Maybe not, but maybe if the duel's wrapped up, maybe Keeter don't go,
Yep. Yeah, if you want me to run through real quick who Iowa has said they're sending.
Yeah, tell us who Iowa's sending.
So they got Dean Peterson and Leo DeLuca both at 125, okay? And then you got Drake Ayala at 133. You got Nasir Bailey and Jace Rhodes at 141. Ryder Block and Cal Voinovich at 49. Jordan Williams and Victor Voinovich at 57. Caliendo at 65. Kennedy at 74. Both Angelo Ferrari and Gabe Arnold at 84. And Dean at 97. And then Keeter and Marty at heavyweight.
Yeah. So remember the rules. There used to be a rule that you could only travel with 12 or 15, and they did away with that, and they went to an institutional rule. So institution meaning your school decides you can travel with whatever you want, but um, it has to be, your school has to be okay with it. Now from a competitive side, you can only submit 15. Only 15 guys can weigh in.
Yep.
Now that can change. Like, let's say Saturday, 15 guys weigh in, and one of those 15 gets hurt. If you brought another guy, that other guy can weigh in on day two. So I mean, it probably doesn't even need to be mentioned, but it's
Yeah.
a wrinkle that exists.
Yeah. So anything else in the Iowa Missouri duel that you're keeping an eye out for?
Well, I don't feel as if Mendoza is gonna go. He hasn't wrestled yet,
Yep.
but I'd be all over a match, with him,
Absolutely.
Bailey, against Nasir Bailey. I do like the Mac Mauger, Dean Peterson. I mean, you obviously favor Dean Peterson, but Mac Mauger's a tough cookie. Won Fargo, I don't know, 2 or 4 times. He won a bunch. Caliendo Mayfield. Mayfield's been wrestling really well to start the year. Kennedy Steed looked like a juicy matchup on paper. Steed did not look right last week at the Tiger Style invite, lost twice. I mean, that's still a match you want to watch, right? Yeah, and everybody in the country wants to see Angelo Ferrari and Aiden Sinclair. Good test for Endine against Evan Bates, a guy that's been a consistent. Well, I mean, he's really emerged last year as had some upsets at the national tournament, and so that's a good measuring stick for Endine.
Yep.
But you feel as if Iowa takes that one easy. Also at 10 a.m., Illinois and Little Rock. Little Rock sort of in a little bit of a rebuilding mode, especially from a dual standpoint. Illinois should get past them. I wouldn't say easy, but high probability. Also at 10 a.m., NC State, Northern Iowa, V-Rob, Trevor Anderson. Trevor Anderson had a really great – he had a average kind of regular season, good postseason for Trevor Anderson. I believe he was blood round. Redding and Farber, really tight match. I mean, really, that's within the margins. Ryan Jack against Lander, Freeman, Biskins, Ratchie. I'm really interested in if NC State uses Will Denny. Will Denny, if you're looking at guys who could make a splash this weekend, and like breakout guys for the year, I should write an article. Maybe that's what I'll do right after this show, is write an article of breakout candidates at this event or in general this season. Will Denny is damn good.
Yeah.
And he could get a matchup with Ryder Downey. I would be really licking my chops at that one because I'd like to see how that goes. Remember, Will Denny won Super 32 2 years ago. Last year. Beating 2 Super 32 champs back to back. I forget who the first one was. I think it was Rath and Melvin Miller, or Routledge and Melvin Miller, back to back. And that was to get to the finals.
Yeah.
Dude's really good. That might be one of the better. That really might be one of the better first round matchups.
Yeah, it's really good. You have a lot of matchups where it's like, some of Northern Iowa's best guys. You talk Wyatt Volker, you talk Jared Simma, you talk, some of these were there, like even Caleb at 49. Like, NC State kind of matches up really well in those weights where, even like Trevor Anderson against Vince Robinson, like a lot of these matchups should be very good. And NC State is favored on paper, but if those guys feel like they're not separated so much, like
I think I'm starting to lean Northern Iowa here.
You think so?
I think I am.
All right, let's go through it. Who do you got? You got Vince Robinson at 25.
I'll take V-Rob.
Okay, who you got? Redding or Farber at 33?
This is pure toss-up. Toss-up.
Didn't you catch heat from you and I for predicting NC State earlier when the bracket came out?
Maybe. Or Doug likes to give me crap if I don't color everything purple.
All right, so who you going 33?
For this exercise, give me Redding.
Okay. 41.
Give me Ryan Jack.
Okay. Biscuit or Caleb?
I'm going to change my pick to Farber. Give me Farber.
Okay, you can take Farber at 33.
Yeah. All right, give me Biskins.
Okay.
Give me Arrington.
Yep.
Give me Downey.
Yep.
Give me Singleton.
Yep.
Walrath.
Yep.
Gunderson.
Okay.
Yeah, Trumbull's not coming.
No Trumbull. Okay, who's coming at heavyweight for NC State?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's a Volker, you got to assume. So you got it 5 matches to 5 matches.
Yep.
Ooh,
yep.
Juicy.
See, it's tight. It's tight. Now, if Redding wins, it's different. Anyway, the moral of the story is...
So Northern Iowa needs to get one early to have a chance at the duel, more than likely.
They need one of the first 4.
And if they don't get one of the first 4, you got to get Sima.
I mean,
or
84 and 97. 84 and 97 are giant. I mean,
yeah,
they're holes. They're holes. You got Donald Cates, who didn't even wrestle last year, and Patrick Brophy isn't available. So you have Case and Howe, who's good, but he's a true freshman.
Yeah.
I mean, 84 and 97 are big holes, and they're not bringing. I have it on good authority. They didn't enter Trumbull. So now you're talking about the last 3 giant favorites for Panther Train.
Yeah. Which that might be the difference in the duel. I mean, on WrestleStat at heavyweight, they don't have anybody else at 197 except for Case and Howell. So you can't bump a 97 guy up, and all you got is Xavier Wilson and Everest Ouellette. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. But WrestleStat's got him 147 and 168. So you got to assume, especially with you and I having such a strong heavyweight, that's a huge swing in the duel. Huge swing.
Yeah. I'm like 90. I was told that they did not submit Trumbull. That's what I was told.
Okay.
All right. Then the last duel at 10 a.m. Cornell and Oklahoma State, and Cornell is just sort of decimated with.
This would have been a really good duel with full.
Would have been a great duel. Would have been a great duel if Cornell they had all systems go, but they're without who might be their starter at 25, who might be their starter at, I don't know, is Unger in there? They're without Vince Cornella, they're without Meyer Shapiro. Delegata got an injury. So they're missing quite a few pieces. You're going to take Spratley. You probably take Figs over Unger. Vega Saunders would be a good matchup. Jackson Joyce Swiderski is a great matchup.
That's a great one.
Robideau wins. Lockett and Sergio, you take D. Ruiz Facundo is primo match.
Yeah, that's the match of the duel.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, give me Okie State, obviously.
Yep. So you're leaning Northern Iowa, which would Makes sense without Trumbull at a close duel like that. So you'd have Iowa, Illinois, Northern Iowa, and Oklahoma State advancing out of the top half, which would set up Iowa, Illinois as a quarter, and Northern Iowa, Oklahoma State as a quarter in the top half.
So it'd be, what'd you say? Iowa, Illinois, NC State, or
Northern Iowa, Oklahoma State.
yeah. All right, the second flight, noon. Ohio State, Wyoming. They should cruise pretty easily. Wyoming, they're tough, they fight, but Ohio State will have the edge in almost every bout. The really interesting part of this duel will be like 74, 84, the upper weights.
Yep.
Will Karchla be available? Will he be healthy? Wyoming has a really good freshman at 74, Lane Ford, Eddie Nietenbach, and Joey Novak, Christian Carroll. They end the lineup really well. And so the duel, this is interesting because the duel might not be up for grabs, but those last four bouts are awesome.
Yeah, really good. And I mean, Christian Carroll, he looked great against Younger Bastida. He had the lead last week until the very end, ended up giving up a takedown and losing 5-4 to Bastida. So this is a great match again to see Christian Carroll versus one of the top heavyweights.
No, that was Amos.
Oh, that was Amos. Mixing up my heavyweights. But yeah, Christian Carroll Feldman's still going to be a great match. I like some of these upperweight matchups. Again, similar to the Iowa-Missouri one, I hope just because if Iowa State has it locked up, that we still see some of these matchups.
Yeah. Tech, Minnesota, just a phenomenal duel. All the way through. Ventreska, Volk. Ventreska, Volk is great. Campbell, Cannon. At this stage, I don't know what Cannon is. Give me Campbell on that one. Crook, Von Bauer. You probably take Von Bauer there, although Crook's dangerous. Nininger, Roberts. No, Roberts isn't coming. From what I'm told. Let me make something abundantly clear when I say about guys who are or not. The information that I got. Okay, I just heard snippets of who was submitted and who wasn't. I was told that Roberts wasn't submitted. Could be that might be fake news. I don't know. That's what I was told. And so that would be a big loss for them. Although Minnesota always has depth, they'll probably have a decent guy there.
The chat confirmed that Hidley also confirmed no Trumbull.
Okay.
Chat is also saying Robert's not listed for Minnesota.
Okay. Ethan Miller, Charlie Millard. Charlie Millard's a dude. He's among my favorite freshmen entering the lineup this year. Solid redshirt year last year. Gets a quality guy in Ethan Miller. Mac Church. Will it be Mac Church or will it be Ryan Burton against Sparks? Another kind of toss-up kind of match. Desianti against Whiting or Riddle, Bullock, Mickinelli, Sasso, Nelson, Mullen, Hopke. Every match in that duel is awesome.
Great duel.
Every match in that duel is interesting for one reason or another.
Who do you think wins the duel?
I said NC State. The best duel round one, NC State, Northern Iowa. The best duel round two, bar none, Tech and Minnesota.
Yeah. It definitely, I think, would have been Lehigh, Nebraska if Lehigh had their full lineup, which it sounds like we're not going to get.
Nah, Lehigh, Nebraska would not be good anyway.
I think that would have been a pretty good one. You would have had. Well, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Okay. Arizona State, Michigan. Marino, Sotelo, Larkin, Botero, Manville, and Larkin. I think a lot of people are circling Well, there'll be people that are really interested in Manville Ragusan, but I think a lot of people are circling Larkin McNeil as a really intriguing round one match.
Yeah, and I don't know if Arizona State has released their lineup yet, but this is one of those schools that looked very different than what we thought it might have been a couple months ago with guys coming down, and it seems like last week all these guys were wrestling down. They're all getting in the rankings at those weights, so I'm assuming Arizona State's wrestling those guys at those lower weights this weekend, which does set up some really good matchups.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is like opposite Wyoming, Ohio State. This is the interesting matches are all down low. To me, it's 33, 41, 49. Because up top, I think Michigan gets it done. Mantanona, Walters, Gadiali. I think they win probably 3 or 4 of those bouts.
Yeah.
Walter's an interesting incoming or first-time starter. Gadiali Zuba is actually interesting, but you take Gadiali. All right, Lehigh, Nebraska is our final first-round matchup. Lehigh down a bunch of guys. No Crookham, no Stanich, and
no Nathan Taylor.
So from what I'm told, they are bringing Nathan Taylor, but he was not submitted. And so the odds of him competing are really low. He might be there. They're taking him, but they didn't submit him, if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
So under the circumstances, and don't get me wrong, I was at the end of last season, I was tooting the horn about how good Lehigh could be this year. But they're just not fully composed here. Coupled with their upper weights, 74, 84, 97. Lehigh has questionable, like mid-tier guys, and Nebraska has all 3 of them are All-Americans. So I think that's a really strong – well, and a heavyweight. With no Taylor, there's A.J. Ferrari. So the last 4 are
heavy Nebraska.
The last 4 are Nebraska All-Americans against guys they should certainly beat. And so big edge to Nebraska there. They really would only have to pick up 1 or 2 in the first 6.
Yeah. I'm going to pull up the bracket here just because if anybody hasn't seen it yet, why don't you screenshot it so you have it. Here's the bracket on the screen to give, and the time on these brackets is brackets directly from the national duels. So these times are central. The times we've been saying that we have in our notes are all Eastern. So this first round of duels, the top half's at 10, the bottom half's at 12. And then these next ones, these quarterfinals are going to be 6 Eastern, 5 Central, all 4 quarters at that time.
So I would have, that's a nice short day, boy. So the quarters that I would have would be Iowa against Illinois, and there you could get Drake and Bird. And I think I took Northern Iowa.
By the way, the only thing that makes this a longer day is that's the winning side. So you have winning duels at 10, 12, and 6. You have Conci duels at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern.
Gotcha.
So you would have for quarterfinals Iowa, Illinois, Northern Iowa, Oklahoma State, Ohio State, Virginia Tech, I believe you said. And then who'd you have, Arizona State or Michigan?
I don't know if I took Tech or Minnesota. That's the best first round match, in my opinion. Well, that and Northern Iowa, NC State. I don't know. I think and then the winner of Tech Minnesota, man, that's a tough one because the winner that gets Ohio State. Ohio State, man. Ohio State could make the finals here.
They could. I
I don't think they get talked about enough. Everybody talks about Okie State, Iowa, Penn State, and even Nebraska. Based on they had a great tournament last year, but Ohio State, I think, fully has the capability to beat Nebraska. If
you want to know what's funny, so scroll down. I tweeted this yesterday. Scroll down below these main brackets in that spreadsheet you have, and look at the fact of scroll down to the bottom one, potential semi between Ohio State and Nebraska. If things went chalk throughout that duel, or let's say each team got an upset, that duel could I have it 5 matches, and that duel could very well come down to Ferrari Feldman, winner takes all to go to the finals, which would be electric.
There's so many matches. Macron, Lauritsen, whether it's Macron or
Buzakis,
or Kilkiri for that matter.
Yeah.
You favor over Lauritsen or Kaler. Davino, the Van D's an All-American, but Davino's a phenom. I don't fault anybody for taking Davino. Mendez, Hardy, you take Mendez, but Hardy has the capability.
Yep.
Even with Styles losing a couple matches, you still probably take him over Zinkin. Cannon, Antrell, there's another one like Mendez, Hardy. You take Antrell, the champ, but on his best day, Cannon.
Right, absolutely.
Cannon could do it, right? I mean, the next one, Patty Gallagher or Rajo, that's a pure toss-up match to me. I don't know what we're getting there.
Yep.
I don't know what we're getting there. I think, I don't know what Patty's ranked 12. I mean, they're in the rankings, they're only separated by 4.
And I feel like when you're ranked in that 10 to 20, being ranked 4 different from 10 to 20 really isn't a heck of a lot of separation.
Yeah, I think it's a big spot for LJ, and I think that's a match that's kind of a bit of an unknown. Karchla Minto, on Karchla's best day, he can beat Minto. Right now, you probably take Minto. But Karchla's health is always a concern. Always.
Yep.
Silas Fishback. I mean, those guys have been basically the same dude, right? So that's a toss-up. McDaniel Geog. To me, that's a toss-up.
Yeah.
AJ Feldman, I would lean AJ, but that's within the margins, right?
Right.
I mean,
this duel could be absolutely electric. And if you look at Sunday's schedule, so the winners or the quarterfinals are 6 p.m. Eastern Saturday. Sunday is going to be bananas because at 11 Eastern you have the semis on both the front and the back side, all at the same time, all 4 duels. And then at 1 p.m. you have the semis, you have the 3rd, 5th, and 7th place matches. And then you have the championship at 7. But if you look at what that 3rd place match is, let's say, what is the scenario? So if they're both in the semis and they both win or they both lose, we could see Ohio State, Oklahoma State as a final or a 3rd place match. And as a 3rd place match, I tweeted it out. I'll pull this up on screen real quick. If Ohio State and Oklahoma State wrestle in the finals or the 3rd place match, everybody is ranked in the top 20. Half of the matchups would be top 10 matchups, and the other half would be top 20 matchups. That's bananas.
Bananas.
Literally all guys ranked in the top 20. I just pulled it up on the screen. Again, this could be a final. This could also be a 3rd place match. I hope we get it one way or another.
You have Okie State beating Iowa, huh? I mean, I honestly have not even gone through these to this point, so I don't know if that's surprising. You have Spratley over Peterson. I can get down with that. You have Drake over Figs. I can get down with that. You have Vega over Bailey.
Listen, I'm going to admit I have recency bias in the freshman performance we saw last week. I mean, Vega goes out there, gets a 16-1 tech in his opening Gallagher-Iba debut. I thought he looked fantastic.
Ooh.
So What?
You got some Okie State love in this duel, boy.
I do. I really do. Which one?
You took Vega over Bailey and Ryder over Ferrari.
Yeah, I think Ryder's explosiveness is going to be a factor. I really do.
Okay. Man.
If Angelo doesn't get to his offense and Angelo does more of that wrestling from a knee, I really think David Taylor and the coaching staff will have Ryder ready for that matchup. I really do.
All right. Well, I will take Bailey over Vega with the complete acknowledgement that Vega's really good.
Yeah.
And like if Vega
Yeah, that
wins,
wouldn't surprise me one bit. Like if Bailey wins, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like again, this is recency bias based on how amazing those freshmen performed.
So I will take Bailey. I will take Swiderski over Blocker Voinovich.
What about Robideau Jordan Williams? Because that's another one that
I actually man, who the hell knows?
it's going to be such a great duel.
I love the fact. Now, some of you will call me a hypocrite when I say this sentence, but I love the fact that Jordan Williams is up at 57. And the reason you'll call me a hypocrite is because you'll say, well, Willie, you have Robideau placing fifth already in Crystal Ball and Williams in the blood round. So how much do you really like that he's at 57? I like the potential. I like the potential of Jordan Williams with all his athleticism, with all his offense, not cutting weight.
Yeah.
I think the potential there is great. Now we need to see it.
Absolutely.
And with Robideau, just did he major? He majored Cardenas, right?
Yeah, he won 13-3, I believe.
Yeah. What a statement it would be if Jordan Williams would beat Robideau.
Absolutely.
Which I think he has the potential to do. Now, after seeing Robideau, what Robideau did to, I think that Robideau is the truth. I don't think there's any fluke about that. I think he's the dude. But I wouldn't be shocked if Jordan Williams beat him. Now I will pick Robideau.
Yeah.
Give me Robideau. D Lockett Caliendo. I mean,
that's you got to give it to Caliendo. Like that, I think, anyways. Like based on what Caliendo's resume has done, I think this match is winnable for Lockett. It's absolutely winnable. But I think you got to give the edge to Caliendo, and maybe one of the biggest statements of the weekend could be made in this match. If
100%, this is D Lockett can do it, but prove it, and we have to take the NCAA runner-up.
Yeah,
you gotta. I think the same thing, well, to a lesser extent, in the next weight too. I mean, I think that Facundo wouldn't be earth-shattering, but you take Kennedy. I mean, those are two, like, you don't really. To me, as a prognosticator, you go with Caliendo and Kennedy, and if the opposite happens, you're not surprised. Now, this one, Ryder and Ferrari, I don't know what to make of it. I'll be honest.
Listen, I have some Ryder bias, no doubt, but I just think that I think Ryder will get to his offense and get this win. I do. If Ferrari won, would I be shocked? Of course not. Ferrari's top 3 guy in the country is a freshman. I just think, man, with Ryder, how he looks early, and I know he had a close match this past weekend, which doesn't surprise me after that huge one at the All-Star Classic, but I can't unsee what I saw at the All-Star Classic, him getting to that offense, him having that mindset of just, I want to take my opponent to deep waters. Like, I lean Ryder in this, but obviously this match is very winnable for Ferrari.
I'm gonna take Ryder too, for one reason only. I see more of them. I don't see Ferrari like ever, and so I know all that Angelo Ferrari possesses. I, I, it's pure toss up to me. I mean,
It
it's
is.
a pure toss up, but I'm going to take Ryder.
Listen, this is the match everybody wants to see. 3 versus 4 in the country. Freshman. We talked about 184 leading up to the entire start of the season. This is one of the biggest matches of the weekend where you have so much unknown and you have so much hype and excitement. Like, this is why they wrestle. But yeah, I lean Ryder. So we're pretty similar through this. The only difference is you have Bailey over Vega, which is fine. What are you doing these last 2 matches here?
Well, I'll take Merrill over and Dean. I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it worried me a little that in Dean, like we always say, does it worry you that Zach Ryder only beat a guy by a couple points last week? It crosses your mind, right? And sometimes close losses, who cares? Kyle Dake had 4-point wins over guys that weren't great in his college career, But it does concern me that Dean only won 3-0 against Bellarmine. And that is a super small sample size. But
yeah, that's why I'm going with Merrill, is because, for Ryder, I can't unsee the explosive offense I saw at the All-Star Classic. With Dean, I just haven't seen anything yet that shows me he can be a top 10 guy.
Yeah, okay, let's go back to that Ryder Ferrari thing too. And I said because I see him more. I need to see more offense from AJ against elite competition. We know he has shut down defense. I mean, the guy's damn near.
Yeah,
you can't score in a guy. I want to see a little bit more offense out of there. I don't know. I could watch Ferrari Sinclair round 1 and then change my mind.
Yep. No, 100%.
And then our last match, Doucette and Keeter. I mean, Ben coming off injury. A lot of people were saying, wow, there's a lot of hype around Stillwater for Robideau. And then he comes out and beats Cardenas. And to me, so that hype was warranted around Stillwater. But to me, Robideau is elite blue chip. Would I have picked him to smoke Cardenas? No. Am I surprised? Did some crazy transformation happen with Landon Robideau the last 3 months while he was in Stillwater? Did some crazy transfer? No. He is good. He is that dude. He's one of the blue chippers from last year. This, on the other hand, is more interesting to me because there is also considerable smoke in Stillwater circles that Connor Doucette has massively jumped levels.
Absolutely.
Okay? And he looks like he totally transformed his body as well. So this, to me, is light years more interesting to me than it would be this time last year.
Absolutely. And here's another thing that could be interesting. Let's say the duel goes the way you just picked it to. And let's just say there's no bonus, just 3 points each of the first 9 matches. You would have it 15-12 going into this final match. And there were some questions in the chat. Yes, every duel this weekend is starting at 125 pounds. So yeah. So
it's weird. It's like in high school, there's a lot of dual advancement tournaments.
Yep.
And in high school, if the duel starts at 106 this round, the next round it starts at 113.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if that's a change they make, because I saw
in college they don't do that.
Apparently not for this duel tournament.
I listen, in college I like starting at 25. I like starting at 25 every time. I don't even think they should ever change it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. And listen, again, like,
25.
going back to kind of how we started the show, this could always be something that changed next year if it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. I'm just surprised it's not a rule. I don't know.
So either way, but you have a 15-12 heading into this final match. Do you think that favors either guy here with Connor or Ben?
I think I think that scenario probably favors Connor. I don't know if it'll change the outcome, but you slap Connor Doucette on the ass and say, "Hey, we're here in our state, in our event, year one."
Yeah.
I mean, that got to fire you up. That got to put a little bit more motivation behind it, as opposed to if Iowa was leading 18-10, or even if Oklahoma State was winning 18-10. I mean, right? You got probably.
Well, it's like if you go the way I picked it, you would have Oklahoma State up 18-9 going into the final. And then then Keeter would win and Oklahoma State would win 18-12.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, who knows how some of these things go and the momentum that people carry and a one takedown match. Who knows?
Yeah.
Situations can are variable.
And and I think these two have wrestled before, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's kind of why I leaned. I know Connor looks different, but I do think when I was going through this, he won 5-1.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He won 5-1, but I do think this is a different Connor.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Robideau, you're hyping. Oh, Robideau's amazing. Robideau's been amazing.
Right.
That's not a change. That's not a drastic change. Connor, that's the real potential for a drastic change.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So
you got day one. So you got that's day two if that's a semi, but
that's yes.
So you got Oklahoma State coming out the top side as well then?
No, well, it can't be 15-12.
No, that's without the final match. I was saying without the.
You get what? But it's 15-15 I have.
No, I know. I just didn't put the 3 in there.
So, no, I don't know. Who wins on criteria?
I have no clue. In that scenario, if they're all 3-point matches, what is it, takedowns or something? Is Jason Bryan in the chat? What's the criteria if the duel's tied 15-15?
Here's the thing. It won't be 15-15.
No, 100%. Yeah. And I think Trent Hidley was being interviewed somewhere. I saw the clip. Like, he's so spot on that, like, one of the great things about duels is the unpredictability. And you kind of talked about it beforehand when we were talking about, like, teams wrestling Penn State and different things that could happen. And, like, that is one of these things is that you're going to have – what?
That's another thing. I mean, I want to focus on this event and like, but the reason there's so many people advocating for duels to be the national champ is because you have a better shot to knock off somebody in a duel. Duels are great and wonderful and compact, and they're probably better for television. I get all that. But they are 150% more of a crapshoot than a tournament. The best team is going to win a tournament. The best team's going to win a tournament. A duel, you have a chance to do some shocking things. One matchup, one injury, one last second takedown, that can all determine a duel. None of those things can hold true in a tournament. You don't win a tournament on a coin flip. You don't win a tournament on one last second takedown. You don't win a tournament on a guy rolling an ankle. They're 100% more fluky. And because wrestling has always, it's not just Penn State, it's Penn State now, but we've had their Iowa runs and Okie State runs, because college wrestling has always been a run of dynasties. And because the top team runs away with it 9 years out of 10, and there's very little drama, and because there's no way to beat them, we know the outcome before we go in. You shouldn't rob a program of a national championship because you want drama. And duels are more fluky and more drama. They're more dramatic than a tournament. That being said, flukiness is not a way to determine a champion.
I agree.
So you can say good for the sport. You can say this and that. Be honest with yourselves. Be honest with yourselves. You want there to be chaos. You don't want the best way to crown a champion. You want there to be the potential for them to fail.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to pull up a tweet, Willie, from the College Wrestling Report, who just tweeted out notable wrestlers not listed on Flow's team tab for national duels, which we kind of talked about a lot of them, but it looks like these are the confirmed guys not there. You got it on screen?
What are we looking at?
Got a tweet pulled up from the College Wrestling Report, who just tweeted out notable wrestlers not listed on Flow's team tab for national duels. And a lot of this, so if you're listening, Arizona State, no Colton Hawks at 97. Cornell, no Myers Shapiro. That's not a surprise. Illinois, no Michael Joffrey. Lehigh, no Crookham, no Matty Lopes, no Stanich. No Calvin Griffin, no Nathan Taylor. Little Rock, no Jeremiah Reno, no Josiah Hill. I should not ever be the one reading a list of names. Minnesota does not have Drew Roberts at 149. We just talked about that. Missouri does not have James Conway or Cam Steed.
Wow.
So maybe Cam Steed got banged up in that tournament.
I'm not making excuses for Cam Steed, but he didn't look right.
And then no Trumbull for NC State and no Cole Brooks for Wyoming. So thank you, College Wrestling Report, tweeting that out.
Yeah, and that would be accurate. I mean, Flow owns track, so they're not supposed to have access, but they got access.
Yeah. So, all right. So who do we have in the finals? I have Oklahoma State beating Iowa. And I have Ohio State, Nebraska 5-5 or 15-15, 5 matches. So I have no clue who I have because I have the dual 5 matches apiece.
I think on paper, I kind of like Ohio State.
Not a wrestler. He said Lamer not on that list. Chance Lamer was never going to be a part of this because he can't wrestle for a semester. Yeah, I Ohio State on paper I get. I could also see Nebraska like riding that momentum. They just had a great NCAA tournament last year. They had a couple national champs. Like they looked awesome. Can they carry that momentum through? Like, man, it's going to be great. I feel like
I want to pick Ohio State on paper, but I feel like Nebraska finds a way.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know who to take. I don't know who my pick is.
I don't either. It's going to be interesting.
I'm going to take Nebraska. I'm going to take Nebraska, and here's why. I don't know. I don't like it.
Well,
but the reason so I'm thinking because I have it like 5-5 as well, right? So forcing me to make a pick, I'll go with this. I'm sitting in Nebraska's room right now. No. I'll go with this. How about this? Nebraska has a long track record.
All right, you want to pick Nebraska, Husker? That's fine. Listen, let's do this.
No. Nebraska has a long track record of looking great at CKLV. That's a reasonable take, right?
Yeah. Listen, you're trying to find a way to choose Nebraska. That's fine. Let's do this. Because we've previewed a lot of these semis and finals. I think the one we haven't ran through is Iowa-Nebraska. You want to run through that one?
Iowa-Nebraska? Yeah.
Now, that would be if Iowa comes out of the top beating Oklahoma State and if Nebraska beats Ohio State, because we've kind of talked about some of these different scenarios. So
Yeah.
I have it in the doc, the potential final of Iowa-Nebraska, if that's it.
Where is it? Oh, there it is.
Second
All right.
one, yeah.
Yes, you take Dean over Lauritsen. You take Ayala over Van D. Give me Hardy over Bailey. Block or Voinovich over Zinkin. Okay. You have a major.
No, I didn't mean that. That was a typo.
I wouldn't go major there.
No.
I'll take Antrell over Jordan Williams, although man, I'm like salivating at the potential of Jordan Williams at 57. Caliendo over Raju. Kennedy over Minto. That's where I think Minto wins that match.
Okay.
Angelo over Cyrus. I can get on board with that. Yeah, I have it what you have it, except
I think Iowa matches up very well against Nebraska.
Wow, I have it. No, go take a. Okay, 16-15. I have it 16-15.
16-15 Iowa.
And that's based on Caliendo majoring LJ. I don't know that happens because
I agree.
not that Caliendo can't major LJ, but LJ is really good on top. I could see him slowing the match down. You know.
Yeah.
I think the only way that Caliendo majors him if he plays catch and release early. You know what? I can see him. It's 3-point takedowns.
I think
give me Iowa 16-15.
So here two things. One is I think that at some point Iowa has to go and get a major, or they're going to push for it. And I think either this or Drake against Van D is probably the most likely, in my opinion. What do you make of the AJ Ferrari Ben Keeter potential heavyweight matchup?
I'll take AJ because I think they're both really light heavyweights.
Yeah.
A light athleticism, they're kind of the same, and AJ finds a way to win those close matches, you know.
I'm also being told that match points are the differentiating factor for a tie. So
we should know these things.
We should know these things. All right, so in the event that Iowa and Nebraska both make the finals, we both have Iowa edging Nebraska, me a little bit more than you. But I think Iowa matches up really well against Nebraska. Like in those, in that, you know, especially you talk the.
What does? Let's continue with this a little bit. Let's look at Oklahoma State, Ohio State.
Oklahoma State, Ohio State. Do I have that one somewhere? Yeah. So that's the one that I talked about. That's the first one up there. That could be the potential third place or a final where you have half the matches are top 10 matchups and half of them are top 20.
Can you tell us what the Ohio State's 125-pounder's name is?
Brandon McCrowan.
W-I-N at the end. Yeah, you take Spratley, Davino over Figs, okay. Mendez over Vega. Swiderski over Styles. To me, that's pure toss-up. Robideau Cannon, Lean Robideau, D over Patty.
Karchla Facundo, I'm really, really not sure about. That to me is a toss-up. I've gone back and forth. I picked Carson, and then I kind of went back, and
I'm really interested, and I know he's been out of school for a while, been out of high school for a while, but I'm really interested. I loved Luke Geog coming out of high school. Loved him.
yeah. We'll go through the next three first. What do you make of Carson Facundo? Because I think they split matchups a couple years ago. It was like 4-1, 3-1. Super close. So
I don't know what to make of
I know it's tough.
Listen, Carson Karchla is always walking wounded. Carson Karchla beat Patrick freaking Kennedy last year at Big Tens. And then went to NCAAs 2 weeks later and went 1-2. I don't know what to make of him.
Well, and here, I don't know how this factors in, but I want you to also think of this context, okay? So Facundo's going to open his open his weekend with the biggest matchup in Oklahoma State Cornell. Number 3, Simon Ruiz, okay? Then, the next round, he's either going to have Matty Singleton or Jared Sima. Regardless who wins that next duel, he'll have a top 10 opponent. Now you're talking a potential matchup with Karchla. Facundo may have one of the toughest weekends of anybody. And can he beat all 3 top guys?
Yeah, I don't know. That's why we watch the matches.
And Patrick Kennedy, if we see...
Are we sure that Karchla is healthy?
No, we're not sure.
Right.
0%.
0% sure.
So then you have Dylan Fishback and Zach Ryder. Will be a great test for Ryder. Eileen Ryder. And then we have Luke Geog, Cody Merrill, which we were just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You kind of take Merrill, but Geog's good, man. Geog could be good. If Geog that's another one, like I was saying, who was I saying? Breakout potential this year. I forget. But Geog's another one, could be a breakout guy.
Breakout? I feel like it was early on in the
It
was early on in the 10 a.m. duels, I think.
Yeah, it was Will Denny.
Yeah, Will Denny.
Will Denny. I think Will Denny could be. I think Doucette could be a surprise. I think Geog could be a surprise.
Feldman Doucette is an interesting heavyweight match to close out Ohio State, Oklahoma State if they wrestle.
Real interesting. Yep.
Really interesting.
Okay, so which one didn't we have yet? We didn't do Okie State, Nebraska. We didn't do Iowa.
What?
Minio just texted me that 2 former Rutgers wrestlers were booked on mob racketeering and gambling charges.
What?
I'm not going to say their names. One of them I just hung out with at Super 32. Anyway, you guys can look that up. We didn't do Ohio State, Iowa. Put Ohio. Did we do Ohio State, Iowa? Do Ohio State, Iowa, and do Oklahoma State, Nebraska. You know, by the way,
which 2 did you want?
Ohio State, Iowa.
Ohio State, Iowa. All right, it's there at the bottom.
By the way, I forget what the date is, but it's sometime in December. Oklahoma State, and tip of the cap to DT because he wrestles a monster schedule. Oklahoma State, Nebraska here. So even if it could happen this weekend. But if not, Oklahoma State is traveling to Nebraska, which I assume means Nebraska is traveling to Okie State next year. But that's a monster duel in the middle of December.
Yep. All right, so if Ohio State and Iowa make it out of the semis, there's the potential final.
Ohio State and Iowa. McCrellan will lose to Dean Peterson. Ayala and Davino, you go Drake. You go the 2-time national finalist. Mendez, Bailey, you go Mendez. Styles against Block or Voinovich, who knows? But I guess you take Styles to All-American. Cannon, Williams, what a match that would be. Both of them.
Is Jordan Williams your guy to watch this weekend?
I love Jordan Williams. I love him. I love the kid.
How can you not? He's electric every time he's on the mat.
I love the kid. Patty Caliendo is Caliendo all day. Karchla Kennedy. Karchla beat Kennedy at the thing. But healthy, I don't know. Give me Ferrari. Giog. Give me Liberty or give me death. No, give me Keeter or Feldman. Did Keeter beat Feldman last year?
Let's look that up, sir.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got Iowa winning rather comfortably.
Yeah, I think Iowa matches up pretty well against Ohio State, too.
Yeah.
All right, what was the other scenario you said we didn't have?
The other scenario we didn't run through was Nebraska, Okie State.
Nebraska, Okie State.
That is a possibility.
I thought we covered that one, no? I thought we did.
No.
All right, hold on. All right. Nebraska, Okie State. There we go. It's on the right. It's on the right-hand side.
Okay. Spratley over Lauritsen, yes. Who the hell knows what to make of Richie Figs?
I know, but who the hell knows what to make of Van D?
Pass. I'm passing on that match right now. Actually, just give me Figs right now.
All right, for now, I'll give you Figs. He's got to bounce back strong, right? All right.
Zinkin, Robideau, Antrell.
That's going to be a great match.
I really feel like Robideau has a shot, but give me the national champ. Give me Lockett. I'll take Minto.
What?
I'll take Ryder. I'll take McDaniel. I'll take AJ. What's that? Good Lord, another 5-5.
5-5. Oh, this weekend's gonna be awesome.
That's what makes this.
We really should try. We should try to go live at some point on Sunday. If you're too busy, maybe I get Bashada on here because it's going to be so interesting, Willie, to talk about the third place match and the finals match after how everybody looked day one.
Yeah.
It's going to be so interesting how some of these early rounds go.
And it's so early in the year. Like our interpretation and all these things that have led up to this and this preview show and us handicapping these duels. What's so interesting about this mega monster event happening so early, the narrative is going to be changed. It's going to pivot on a dime. When we see some of these results, we're going to be like, okay, that's who this guy is. That's who that guy is. Now we think this.
Right. 100%. And again, part of duels are very exciting. And part of this is I understand the excitement for this tournament. It's going to be awesome. We are still going to get, as we've both talked about, some of these bigger duels again later in the season, or will still happen if we don't. I'm almost rooting for matchups to obviously happen that we aren't going to see. Give me the results that make the most interesting combinations and pairings that we aren't going to see. So if Oklahoma State and Nebraska are dueling later in the year, give me Oklahoma State, Iowa. Or no, they wrestled too, right?
Yeah, I see what you're saying though.
Give me the matchups that we're not going to see in a couple of months.
Nebraska has a really weird path in that after Lehigh, they might go Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten.
Yeah.
They could go Michigan, Ohio State, Iowa. And, they'll see all those guys again.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun. We'll be glued to it all weekend. Really hoping we get some of these more intriguing matchups and matchups we aren't going to see again until NCAAs or hopefully this is a great chance to.
Above all the noise, and are we going to miss out on this bout and who's going to sit and who's going to duck and why is not Penn State not? Listen, this is a fantastic event thanks to Oklahoma State and Chad Richardson and Matt Serber and everybody that invested in this. This is a crown jewel, and wrestling is much better off for this event existing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to be a far more good takeaways than bad from this weekend. Willie, closing out kind of the way we started talking about Penn State, we can talk for just a few minutes about the other stuff that Cal mentioned in his press release or press conference yesterday. We had kind of talked about the lineup, and he basically solidified what their lineup's going to look like. He said that K6 redshirting, which, again, him going to the Bill Ferrell is kind of a dead giveaway there. Ono's what?
How about somebody's going to get mad at me for this, but how about NCAA tweeting rankings and using a picture of Kasich? Like, they don't know. They don't know. He's redshirt. You're going to use him as a picture?
I know.
Anyway, go ahead.
So then you got Ono is also going to redshirt this year, and Braden Davis is likely going to redshirt this year, which gives you more of some insight into, their lineup looking like Blaze 33, Nagao 41. And then I know there were some questions about Barr. His injury isn't that serious, but he's going to be out for a couple more weeks, so he won't be there this Friday night against Oklahoma. But Penn State does kick off their season Friday night at the Bryce Jordan against the Sooners. Mark Hall coming back to State College.
Yep. So, the Husker bus leaves at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. I'll be on it.
And, we also got Bo Nickel, UFC 322 this weekend, Saturday. Go Bo.
Go Bo.
Basch has a show where he previews an event that doesn't have PSU but still starts the show and ends the show with them. Yes, Jay Hill, they are the number one team in the country, and we started the show because that was, if you don't live under a rock, that was all of the commentary online yesterday, was coaches, fans, and athletes talking about Penn State not being there. So yes, we are going to address those comments. And yes, the number one team in the country, I believe the last team to open up their season this weekend. I do think that's worth noting. So slam your forehead a little harder, Jay Hill.
Jay Hill's a good dude. But, yeah, Jay Hill, you're wrong on this one. I mean, it pissed me off yesterday. It pissed me off. Not that I understand their frustration. But it pissed me off that the whole narrative online yesterday was Penn State's not coming. Penn State's the devil. Every ounce of energy on that topic distracted from how awesome this event is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, hey, Christmas is coming. Hey, Christmas is going to suck. This Christmas sucks. Like, shut up. This is an amazing event. I'm so stoked for it. Penn State isn't coming. Fuck them. Fuck Penn State. Whatever. Fuck them. I don't know.
Jay Hill, he says, BS.
That's the point. Jay Hill, that's the point.
Right. And the event is going to be awesome. That is why we started the show talking about how you have all these coaches and all these fans and these wrestlers talking about Penn State yesterday. We agree. If you go back and listen to the show, we said we'd much rather start this show talking about simply the action. But we're not going to avoid the biggest storyline of the day yesterday.
Yeah, to me it was it was just disappointing.
Thank you, Rolf Obey, in the chat. He said, "Mouth, Willie. Remember, Willie, kid show. This is a kid show. Aren't Snyder's kids running around in there somewhere?"
No, I'm at the facility now.
Okay, let's see. Any other final chat points before?
No, I didn't check in on the chat a lot today. Just want to tell you, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. And I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of questions today. You guys are pretty on point. Tune in or get your ass there. And if you are going and you're a avid listener of the show, introduce yourself. Let's have a Bud Heavy.
And all duels are on Flow except the finals, which are on ESPN2.
Yep.
So, all right, that's a show. We'll be back. At the latest, we'll probably recap it all on Monday.
Yeah, we might have a midstream show somewhere along the line, but we're not promising. It depends. We're gonna play it by ear. Basch, listen. Basch was like, "We need to do it. We need to do it. We need to do it. We need to do a midday recap show." And then he looked at the schedule and he's like, "Oh, the Bills play at 1. We can't do it that time." Okay, Basch. I know.
Well, I will say too, it's kind of, you go from the semis at 11 a.m. Eastern right to a great third place and the 5th and 7th place matches at 1 p.m. And then you have a break at 3 until the finals at 7 Eastern. But, I know what it's like being there and you're running around like a chicken with its head cut off, so I get it. And then I also saw that the Bills play the Bucs at 1 p.m. So we will try to do a show this weekend, maybe early Sunday, maybe Sunday afternoon. Just, follow us on Twitter, wherever. Subscribe, make sure you have notifications on. We will try to fit one in this weekend if we can. No promises, but yeah, we're going to try.
If not, we got you Monday. Well, maybe not.
When do you fly back?
I'll fly back Monday sometime.
Are you flying right from Stillwater back to Easton?
Tulsa, but yeah.
Yeah, Tulsa. Your time in Lincoln is done. You've been there for a week now?
At least.
And shout out Brian Snyder for his incredible hospitality when we had the Iowa kids on to 5 Iowa commits, and Willie did the show live from Brian Snyder's home office. So that was incredible hospitality by Snyder to let Willie do that there. We got to have him on soon.
All right.
All right, that's the show. Go Bills. Go Penn State. See you guys.